your manager overwhelmed? It's very seldom time management. It's a leadership system issue. Because when leadership depends on a person's personality or memory or availability, the organization, your team, will hit a ceiling. Today, I'm going to show you why most leadership programs don't scale, what the bottleneck boss trap looks like, and how our impact system builds leaders who drive results, not just tasks. If you're in HR, operations, or a CEO trying to build capacity, you've seen this. You invest in leadership development. People leave with insight, energy, and good intentions. They're vibrating. And then real life takes over. 2 weeks later, the same leader is still approving everything, solving everything, carrying the emotional weight of the team. Performance conversations still get avoided. Accountability still feels inconsistent. And the manager is still the teller, controller, and rescuer. It's not because your leaders don't care. It's because most leadership development is delivered like an event instead of built like a system. Let's name the pattern, the bottleneck boss. This usually shows up in want-to-be high-performing managers, especially in fast-moving technical environments. And here is how it forms. A leader becomes successful because they are highly competent and reliable. They solve problems quickly, they keep the standards high, they get things done. And when the pressure rises, they do what they've always done. They step in. They control, tell, and rescue. They approve the work, they rewrite the email, they rewrite the report, they take over the customer conversation, they make the decisions because it's faster. They carry the conflict because they don't trust anyone else nobody else could handle it. First, this looks like leadership, but over time, it's a constraint. Here are the tells. Decisions stack up on one desk. Escalations become the default. Managers' calendars become the operating system. Team becomes capable, but dependent. Execution slows, even though everyone is working so hard. On-screen tasks, busy is not scalable. Busy is also not a hero status. And it's not a personality flaw. It's a predictable outcome when leadership is treated as an individual trait, not an organizational capability. Very few people, like less than 1%, are natural leaders that get it right without training. When leaders get overlooked or overloaded, the typical advice is, prioritize harder, delegate more, set boundaries, manage your time better, hold your people accountable. It's useful, but it misses the point. If the system still routes decisions through a single person, you don't have a time problem, you have a design problem. Because a leader can only do more for so long before they start paying the price. Slower execution, lower ownership, inconsistent accountability, burnout, and turnover risk. You cannot scale heroics, but you can scale a framework. And here's the truth. Charisma and power is not scalable, but frameworks are. A framework that scales does 3 practical things. It creates a shared language, so leaders and teams can name what's happening without blame. It builds repeatable micro practices, so behavior change happens under pressure, not just in the training. And it makes progress measurable, so you can coach it, reinforce it, and scale it. That's what real leadership system does. It turns leadership from something you hope for or aspire to and something anybody can rely on. So at Sage and Summit, the leadership journey we build is the impact system. It is designed to move leaders from being overwhelmed management into scalable, repeatable leadership. So let me walk you through it. Impact. I stands for identity. All leadership starts with identity. When a leader isn't anchored in who they are and what they stand for, they over-adapt. They people please, they boss please, and they lead from urgency. They swing between being too soft and too sharp. Identity is what gives a leader consistency. It's the internal standard that makes decision-making very much cleaner and communication clearer. If your leaders don't know who they are as leaders, they will borrow confidence from activity. And that's an activity trap. The M in impact is for mindful presence. Mindful presence is the ability to stay grounded and intentional when pressure hits. This is where leaders stop reacting. They stop stomping around, throwing fits and slamming doors. They stop rescuing. They stop escalating stress across the team. A leader's nervous system is the thermostat of the environment. Mindful presence is how you become steady, and steadiness is what teams trust. Powerful influence is how you move people into action without control, force, or micromanagement. It is conversational mastery, the conversations that set standards, create ownership, and drive accountability. Influence is not being nice. Influence is about being clear. The ability to say what needs to be said in a way that people can actually hear and act on. This is where performance conversations stop being dreaded and they actually start being useful. A in impact is for amplifying capacity. This is where leadership becomes scalable. Amplifying capacity means the leader is no longer the answer to everything. They build the team's ability to think, decide, and execute. They coach problem solving. They clarify decision rights. They build confidence and competence in others. They stop rewarding dependence and start rewarding ownership. When you amplify capacity, your team stops waiting. And this is when speed and accountability go up at the same time. And C, creating sustainability. Sustainability is not soft. It's completely operational. This is where leaders design how work runs so results don't depend on a single person's bandwidth. It's meeting rhythms, decision flows, communication habits, the standards, the infrastructure that hold on good days and on bad days. When sustainability is built, burnout drops, and strategic time returns. And finally, T for transformational results. Transformational results are what happen when leadership shifts from being effort-based to being system-based. Not a short spike in motivation, not a big hurrah, but a durable change in how leaders lead and how teams perform. When the impact system takes hold, you see practical changes. Meetings move from updates to decisions. Teams escalate less because expectations are clearer. Managers stop rescuing, telling, and controlling because they have a repeatable way to coach ownership. Execution speeds up because clarity rises. Culture improves because standards are consistent. And leaders finally have the space to do what leaders are supposed to do. Think, align, develop people, and remove friction. Leaders are supposed to think, spend time actually thinking, align, develop everybody's capacity, and remove obstacles and friction from the system. If you want leadership that scales, read the full blog. And if you want to build these skills in your managers, contact us regarding the coach approach for leaders. It's a great starting point. Or the corporate passport inquiry. If you want a simple starting point, message me frameworks and tell me what you're building capacity for, HR, operations, or the leadership team. And I'll point you in the right direction. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, or comment. Lead with impact, and we'll chat soon.